Hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the first Vizlib Healthcare webinar. We are going live now. We are just waiting for more people to join the call. It seems we'll have quite a crowd today, which is great. We are super excited to have a really interesting panel of experienced speakers. While we're waiting for everyone to join, I'll give you a brief overview of what we'll be discussing today and who we have on the panel. So here's our agenda. Joe Warbington from Qlik Healthcare will actually kick off the webinar with a very interesting presentation on Qlik for healthcare, showing off some of the interesting real-life examples. We'll also have Mark Singleton, who's a data analytics champion here at the NHS in the UK. He will take us on a journey. Can people actually hear me? I'm just a little worried.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all good. So Mark will take us on a journey, explaining and sharing some lessons and experience from WWL, which is an NHS trust, and how they embraced data analytics. We also have Daniel from Acumen BI. Acumen BI is one of the leading BI solutions providers in New Zealand, and Daniel has more than 15 years experience in data analytics. So he will share some interesting insights about one of the most relevant charts in the healthcare industry, which is the SPC chart. We also have Piers Batchelor, our own product architect here at Vizlib, who will demo some of the most relevant, probably, Vizlib extensions. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session with all panelists. So please, if you have any questions or comments that you want to have addressed, just pop them over in the chat, and we'll come back to them at the end of the webinar. So now that I can see that there are more and more people still joining, maybe we'll give it a few more minutes and we'll kick it off. Joe, are you okay to start?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'll just 1 second. I'll make you the presenter.
All right.
Okay, you're good to go.
Share my screen here. You should see a body map image.
Yes.
Okay, great. Making sure I have the right monitor. And before we start, I just want to say hi to everybody. I think I can turn on my webcam here. And just let you know where I'm coming from here in Madison, Wisconsin, in the USA. Been on the Qlik Healthcare team for over 5 years, and I'm the healthcare director for the Americas. And I live in Madison, which is pretty cold, so I often have my Qlik hat here with me. And I got my nice Qlik branch hoodie. I'm looking for a Vizlib one if anybody can hook me up. But I just want to say hi to everybody that's on the line, and we'll jump back to some of the slides here. So, as I said, based in the U.S., and I work with our healthcare customers primarily in the Americas, but also around the globe to understand what they do and how we can help share those things, those insights with you all, with the Qlik customers. And with the Vizlib customers as well. And so I wanted to talk through a couple of different things here pretty quickly and show you maybe a different take on healthcare. We have a global deployment of Qlik with over 3,000 health systems, like the likes of the NHS in the UK, one of our largest customers that we have there. And often what we find is they're building solutions around these key areas like clinical variation, trying to find opportunities to improve care by finding where people are doing things a little differently, opportunities to use better medications, to use less costly but still high quality procedures and supplies. And that's a huge, there's a huge amount of data behind that, so we're helping organizations just get a grasp on what's possible. And there's this big shift around value-based care, kind of that blue bubble in the lower corner, which is, it depends on the country that you're in, whether your care is provided and subsidized by the government. In the US, it isn't, and there's a lot of fight over volume of business. So doctors here are paid to do procedures, and that means you might get 10 x-rays because they get paid for it. But really, the shift to value-based care means they should only pay for that one x-ray and everybody should share it. And so there's this huge shift we're seeing in the US and in other markets of trying to get towards that. There's a nationwide and statewide solutions which are often around regulatory or reporting around quality that we work with. And then we're starting to see a lot more work in the predictive or cognitive and ML space, as healthcare is typically a laggard when it comes to adoption of technology. So my team gets to look at what we're doing across all industries, and you might think maybe retail has a pretty good idea of their consumers, and they're using data to really understand you as a purchaser. Well, in healthcare, we want to use that information to understand you as a patient better. And that's where predictive analytics can help get in, customize, and personalize medicine. This is something in healthcare, if you're in that space, is very familiar. It's the IHI triple aim, which means healthcare organizations are trying to drive towards the center point of the experience and quality of care being the best that it can be, keeping the costs down so that we can care for more patients, and then population health in reaching care to the most patients. And this is what we use when we're working with health systems in driving solutions, trying to make sure we hit on at least one, if not all of these tenets. But that isn't the only view we have. We take that triple aim and we add in a fourth very important component, which is the care team well-being. We talk a lot about the patient, and absolutely critical and important in the center of everything. But if we don't keep our clinicians happy and we don't fight burnout, then we're going to miss out on this. So part of this quadruple aim is to keep the clinicians themselves, the frontline staff, happy. And that means technology shouldn't get in the way. It should make things easier for them to see information, to be more informed, make the right decisions, and get out of the way so that they can take care of the patients that are in front of them. So a huge focus on making technology easy to adopt and useful in the workflow. When I was working with the team and thinking about what I wanted to show today, I thought, well, what is healthcare really? And when we think about that word, you often think of hospitals and clinics and going to the doctor to get your healthcare. But that's only one portion of it. There's, this huge data complexity challenge when you go in. We call them EHRs in different countries. They might be your patient record. And that's where, when you go to the doctor, that information is getting stored and captured. But there's all these other data sources out there that are part of your health and wellness. And if we don't bring those things together, there's not an accurate picture of you as an individual, as a patient, or as population. So we get in the work of bringing together many different data sets, even though the EHR, the electronic health record, is absolutely vital. It's tough to get information out of and then add in these other things. So I really wanted to focus on the external data source today, because I think, what we're really talking about when we say healthcare is sick care. That you go to the doctor maybe for your annual visit and you get that one data point on you as an individual. But then there's wellness, and this is where I take a lot of strides in trying to understand myself and my family and how we're doing in our health and wellness, so that we don't end up in the hospital. We don't have to go to the A&E or the emergency department. But these things are often disconnected. So this is an actual view of my health record. I don't have that many visits. So when I go to look at my personal records through my health provider, I see one data point actually for my cholesterol. We did a lab a few years ago. That was it. I am a single dot on a chart. And so to me, that doesn't tell me, am I improving in my health? Am I getting worse? What can I do? It's really just, I was sick, I went to the doctor and they took a lab. But that's only as valuable as I'm able to act on it. And I couldn't act on that particular metric, that one dot that was captured. So my friend Dalton Ruhr, I think a few of you know him, the Qlik dork, has this great saying about that the data is only as valuable as your ability to act on it. So I took that to heart, and I wanted to show you what I've been doing and using some of the Vizlib components. So just to confirm, you can see I dragged Qlik Sense over to the screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay, great. And I'm swimming in applications, so that's not ever a problem. If you ever need an example of something that we're doing, most of our team members have access to these things. But rather than go through that, I wanted to show you what I'm doing around my personal health, my wellness. And this is information from that I've been collecting for years through the use of my phone, through my Apple Watch that my health plan and Qlik help to subsidize, so I can keep better track on my health. And when I thought about why I wanted to put it in Qlik, which is on my phone and on my watch, it only really tells me how I'm doing that day. There's some charts in there, but you're scrolling on a very small phone to see that. So Apple doesn't make this thing for the iPad, and they don't have a great way of showing it broadly. So I pulled all that information out and can visualize it quickly. And we often talk about having to get to 10,000 steps is a good indication that you're moving enough in a day. And you'll see into 2015, I wasn't really getting to 10,000 steps each day. It's in the red, it's in the orange. And then I've gotten a lot better in the last few years of reaching that goal and exceeding it. So I'll do trips. You can see these spikes. Actually, I can tell you that I went to New Zealand in 2016 in January, and that's why my steps were through the roof. I did a lot of hiking, and I'll try to take trips. So the data is telling me you're a lot healthier when you're not working, and maybe you need to get out and vacation some more. So I do that, and it helps describe. And the Vizlib part is this activity gauge. It's very similar and familiar from Apple Watch. If I go a little level deeper, I can use this information to help me actually close my rings, is what they call it. And I can drill down into those things and pick a particular year, a particular month. So let's see, how did I do in 2018? I'm a bit better at closing all of my rings, making sure I have enough average steps per day and my miles that I take. And I feel like these, if I clear that out, millions of rows of data give me a much better indication of my health and wellness than one dot on a screen in an electronic medical record. So there's this disconnect. I have more information about my health than my doctors do, and how are we going to help them to understand that? And this is an area that we're starting to work with health systems on, and bringing this data in and helping doctors to be able to use this patient-reported data. But I feel more engaged in my health, and we're talking about this a little recently too, of how my little baby's doing. We just had a baby about 6 months ago, and I was interested in where that happened and how my activity. So I plotted all my steps here using the Vizlib chart, and you might see that in there. We'll just look at July, come back here, July, August, and September, kind of zooming in, and you can see my my activity dropped off considerably when my son was born. And now that we've gotten back outside, my actual health is getting better. His is getting better too, as we're getting outside and can get fresh air. But these anchor points, these events, now that you can describe where things are happening, it's not just dots on a chart anymore. It's something happened. You know, my health dropped off slightly, although I'm a lot happier that he's here. You could see where these events play in. And these are things that you could use in healthcare to talk about events that happen. An illness came upon, you had an accident, and to show where this fits into your health, it's all about context. And so I just wanted to share that really quickly and show you what we're doing around that. And in this case, I'm bringing together a couple different devices, my phone, the Apple Watch, and this weight sensor that I have that collects my data, stores it so that I can grab it anytime I step on the scale, which may seem kind of crazy to those that monitor your weight and maybe don't want to do that, but it is really helpful for me to see, yeah, if I don't get on my walks every day, my weight jumps up a couple pounds, maybe a kilogram here and there. And so it helps me to keep better pin on where I'm doing with health. And just one example, but we collect these types of things and what health systems are doing with an app catalog. So if you're ever in interest of where healthcare is going with Qlik, we're cataloging these things. And Mark on the line, I think, has contributed some things here too from the NHS about what they're doing so that other health systems can stand on the shoulders of giants. And you can take applications that have been built and use them as accelerators so that you can work on these big complex projects around predicting readmissions and reoperations or outcomes like you saw with my wellness. And these are the types of things we love helping organizations with. And the visual side is absolutely critical to getting better information and insights out of all of those ones and zeros that are stored in electronic medical records or are locked up in reports. So I'm very happy and passionate to help out around healthcare and give examples out. My last thing is just, if you're going to be in the area, I hope you can make it out to Dallas in May. We're going to have Connections again, our annual user conference, and we have a lot of folks across healthcare, a whole dedicated track of healthcare sessions, and hope you can join us and meet in person. With that, I'll hand it back to, I'll hand it over to Mark.
Thank you, Joe. That was amazing.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Do I have to stop sharing or anything, or are you able to take it? There you go.
Yes. Take it away, Mark.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Mark Singleton, Acting Associate Director of IM&T within Wrightington, Wigan and Lee. Hope I've not got long, and there's a lot to get through, but please do jot down any questions and I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end. So we'll kick off. So today we're going to be talking about where WWL has come from in terms of our use of Qlik, where we are today, and also what we have planned for the next 12 months. So in terms of who WWL are, we're based in Greater Manchester in England. We have 3 sites that have inpatient beds on. We actually have a number of other sites that provide outpatient clinics. We serve a population of 320,000. We have one of the smallest bed base, actually the smallest bed base in Greater Manchester. So we only have 700 inpatient beds, and only about 500 of those are for unscheduled care. So it's imperative as an organisation that we're as efficient as possible. And also there's some real history about WWL. We specialise in orthopaedics, and a gentleman called Sir John Charnley used to operate at Wrightington and was the pioneer behind the first hip replacements. So we still specialise in that field, but that's who we are. In terms of our journey with Qlik, it all began 10 years ago. We purchased Qlik to help with something called service line reporting, which basically shows the profitability of clinical services. Do they make a positive contribution to the organisation, or do they actually cost more than what they pull in terms of our income? But it wasn't until a few years later, because there was a lot of challenge around how costs were being divided. And so it wasn't until a few years later we developed an application called Devolved Financial Management, which saved the divisional accountants going out to meet with budget holders, taking sheets of A3 paper, and turned it into a Qlik app, which gave budget holders pretty much instantaneous access to their budgets and allowed them to drill into real detail all the way down to an invoice level, and really take control of their budget to a whole new level. Since then, since 2012, the team have developed about 30 different QlikView applications that support the organization in different ways. And also, about 4 or 5 years ago, we were involved in a pilot, one of Qlik's pilots and beta programs called QlikView Next. Now, if you know what QlikView Next is, please put the answer in the chat box. Otherwise, I'll come back to it at the end. In terms of our 30 applications, they support the organization, like I say, in different ways, and we believe the organization has become data-driven, having data and analytics from ward all the way to board level. This diagram demonstrates some of our applications and how they support the application. So we've got things like an application that supports our emergency department. It gives them forecasted information on how many patients are likely to come through the doors of A&E, something that isn't routinely planned and therefore needs some sophisticated algorithms to give them an insight in terms of what is expected. We've got things that theatres are one of the organisation's most expensive resources. So we've got an application that shows how our theatres are being used, when they're which surgeons are really efficient in their planning and operating, and equally which aren't, and where there's room for improvement. One of the more recent applications the team have developed is one for our inpatient wards. So it shows the doctors and nurses how efficient they are at treating patients on an inpatient ward, and again where there's opportunity to improve both their efficiency and also their quality of care. When it allows them to learn from incidents, it looks at where there's been patient experiences that we need to learn and improve from. So it gives a holistic view to the care on that ward. But they're just some of the areas to call out. There is a video, we have got a video that was done in collaboration with Qlik that again showcases some more of our use of Qlik, which I'll ensure gets shared with you at the end of the webinar. In terms of where we believe we've had success is really around collaborating with our clinical services, making sure that they're involved at the start of a project rather than developing an application and pulling it out of a hat at the end. Really trying to, like I say, get them involved from the start, including in the design work. And we use things like mock-up diagrams to work through what an application or a dashboard may look like, what information do they believe they need, what would be useful. And we use mock-ups for that, but we also encourage our analysts and developers to get as close to the services as we can. The lady shown in surgical gloves is actually one of our analysts. So we really do promote the team to really get a good understanding of the business, because we believe it helps them shape what information could be provided to support them in their role. Another key part of our journey is around making sure visibility and accessibility to information isn't a barrier. So we have large touch screens scattered across the organisation, and whether those are in clinical environments, on inpatient wards, outside surgical theatres, all the way to our exec offices. We make sure that information is on wide display and is easy for staff to access. And we also do team huddles, we call them com-cells. They use the touch screens and the applications to get answers, to reflect on their recent performance, have discussions about where they believe they can improve, and they can get, rather than previously having to take away questions to be answered afterwards, they can use the applications and the touchscreens to get instant answers and to ultimately make instant decisions and improvements. So that's been also really successful within our organisation. As part of that, we believe in something called single version of the truth. So the information that the clinical services use and the applications is exactly the same as what our exec team, our senior managers use to making more strategic decisions. It's the same information that is shared with our regulators or our commissioners. It's the same information that goes in our board performance report, which again is a Qlik application in itself. And ultimately, it's the same information that we would share with our patients. So we really do believe in having a single version of the truth. And when we introduce a new Qlik application, we remove any other sources to really embed that and to make that happen. Probably 12 months ago, we purchased, we've used QlikView for the last 10 years, but we've been monitoring Qlik Sense since its birth. And where I spoke about QlikView Next earlier, that actually became Qlik Sense. And so we saw it 5 years ago. We didn't feel it was quite there at that period of time, but we've been watching its evolution ever since. And so 12 months ago, we purchased Qlik Sense. But when Googling Qlik Sense and trying to learn about it, Vizlib often comes up. And for us, we saw that they go hand in hand. And so as well as purchasing Qlik Sense, we also saw that Vizlib had a lot to offer and supplement Qlik Sense. So we also purchased Qlik Sense and again have been using that for our over the last 12 months as part of our Qlik Sense journey. In terms of where we are today, so one of the main reasons we bought Qlik Sense is previously in terms of our QlikView development, we were reliant on just free developers to produce those applications. And because we've had so much success in the organisation, it's created a big to-do list and something that our just free developers couldn't keep on top of. So we purchased Qlik Sense because we also had a team of 10 analysts and they were producing and sharing information, but they were doing it via spreadsheets. And those spreadsheets had to be updated on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis. So that's where we're seeing Qlik Sense coming in. So we want to fully automate our production of information and plan to transition all our use of spreadsheets into Qlik Sense and Vizlib to again take our self-service provision to the next level and ultimately to flip the 80-20 rule. So rather than spending 80% of our time producing information, we want that 80% of the time spent analysing and understanding the information. So that's the journey that the team are currently on. The other benefit of Qlik Sense compared to QlikView is about mobility and how you can develop an application once and for that application to look and work really well on a desktop, but equally for it to instantly scale to mobile devices. So we've already started doing work, putting information on tablet devices, mobile devices, for those people in the organisation that aren't often sat at a desk or do need the information when they're out and about. In terms of what we have on our to-do list for the next 12 months, so we'll continue to do our migration from Qlik Sense, from Excel to Qlik Sense and Vizlib. We're on the cusp of taking on 50 community services. So as part of that, we'll be trying to understand our population in more detail and understanding the people that are coming through the hospital doors and are they being seen in the community? If not, why not? And that really sets us off on our own journey, looking at population health, similar to what Joe was talking about before, understanding the population and their needs rather than and being more proactive rather than just reactive. One of the features we really like of Qlik Sense is storyboards. So for us, we see that as an opportunity to start embedding analytics within our boards and committees. We want storyboards to drive the content rather than people snapshotting information from QlikView and putting it into Word reports. we see storyboards as a way for committees and boards to consume those there and then in a live fashion. And we also want to do more with AI and data mining. You will have seen Qlik have made a few acquisitions over the last 12 months. We want to have a look at those and look at if any of those acquisitions or any other third parties that integrate with Qlik, how they could support us and help us get more of our data, how we get more value from our data and more savvy with our data. So again, another area that we'll be exploring over the last 12 months. Lastly, I just wanted to share for anyone that's on the call that may use Qlik but don't necessarily use Vizlib. This is some of the feedback we've had from the team. So we're not paid to give this feedback. We're not being held at ransom in any shape or form. But this is some of the team's feedback on what they think to Vizlib and the team in terms of what they're, how they're finding it compared to some of the native Qlik content, and also the support that the Vizlib team have been able to offer. This last one shows a comparison of where the team have produced a chart. They've done a Vizlib version and one that's out of the box, and some of the comments that our directors have said. So for us, Vizlib does allow us to take our Qlik content to the next level. If anyone is hesitating or thinking of purchasing it, for us, we certainly don't regret the decision and think it supplements the Qlik offering very nicely indeed. So that's where WWL have come from. That's where we are now. That's where we're heading. I welcome any questions anyone may have at the end in the Q&A session. But no, thank you for everyone taking time out and hearing our story.
Thank you, Mark, for a fascinating presentation. It's quite surprising how advanced the trust is and what an impact data analytics can actually have on patients' well-being and on staff. We will move on to Daniel now. Just going to take it away, Daniel, if you're ready.
Alrighty, am I showing my screen?
Yes, it's on.
Excellent. Okay, can you see my the presentation now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, thank you. So Daniel Gargiulo, I head up the Qlik practice for Acumen. We're a reseller of Qlik software in New Zealand and provide consulting and support. We do a lot of work in the healthcare and public sector, and I guess where we've, through working with our healthcare sector clients, one of the big requests that was coming through was for process control charts. And so when we were working with Qlik Sense, you were able to do a basic process control chart with that, but it was very manual, labor intensive, hard to replicate and time consuming. So we saw, I guess, a need there that was coming from our local clients, but also when we started speaking with people globally, within the US, within the NHS, there was also a need there as well for process control charts for Qlik Sense. So throughout early 2018, we got on and developed one. So that's what I'll talk you through today. So I guess Joe and Mark have talked about, I guess, the broader use of Qlik Sense, QlikView and Vizlib within their environment. What I'm going to do is really focus in not on an application, but on a very specific chart that we think you will find useful. So the first thing I want to do is just talk you through a little bit about what are process control charts and why are they useful. I've got to say thanks to John McIntosh for the next 3 slides. He was going to co-present with me and take you through this, but unfortunately he wasn't able to make it at this time. So I will try and do this justice. So really, what can process control charts provide for you? Sanity is one of them. So the reality is, when you're collecting data points, no 2 data points are likely to be exactly the same. So when you're looking at them in isolation, they can lead to flawed decisions. So what the process control charts can do are really help you understand what is what's just normal variation and what is special cause variation. So it's about helping you focus on that. So as John said here, it's about providing you sanity, so you don't go sort of looking at and investigating, wasting time on things that are unnecessary, and it's about helping you focus on where corrective action will actually make a difference. So again, coming back to this, so it's about prediction. So the process control charts, you can actually highlight or flag to your users what is common cause variation and what is special cause variation. And the example that's given here is on your journey to work. It doesn't take you the exact same amount of time each day. It does vary slightly. And so we would call that common cause variation. But every so often something does go wrong, the train's late, you get a flat tire, there's heavy snow, etc. And so that is an unusual event, and that could warrant worth looking into the reasons that happen, particularly if that special cause happens many times in a row. So as we said, it's about clarity. So it's about actually highlighting the points that are of interest for the users so that they focus on those and they don't focus on the unwarranted variation. So there's a number of rules that can be built into charts. It can be looking at things that are beyond control limits. As you say there, if there's a 1% chance of this happening, or 3 in 1,000. So that is actually an unusual event and worth looking into. Other things that are highlighted with the control charts is, it says on this slide 7 alternating, increasing and decreasing data points, but that can actually be done, 7 or more. You can pick the number of points you're looking at, and then the bottom one here where it says consecutive points either side of the center line. So again, if there's 7, 8, 9 points above the average or the median in a row or below, then that is an unusual event. It's unlikely to happen, and so it's worth investigating further. So there's lots of literature on this, lots of research. I'm not going to do it justice in the 10 minutes that we have here. So this is really just a quick overview as to why you might want to start thinking about process control charts within your Qlik environments. So what I'm going to do now is just take you through a quick demonstration of the extension that we've developed, just so you can actually start to see how that works in practice. If this is of interest, you're able to download a free trial from the Vizlib marketplace, or feel free to email us on extensions@acumenbi.co.nz. So the chart that we're seeing on the screen here is a control chart. So as you said, it looks very similar to your traditional Qlik Sense charts. It does look a little bit like a line chart at the moment. I'll talk you through how we actually create one of these in a second, but effectively we have a number of lines here. We have the average line, which is the green line. We have the actual events that have happened, and we're plotting that over time. We have an upper limit and a lower control limit, and so that is calculated automatically. You can see here we're also highlighting outliers, so points that are above or below those control limits. We can highlight runs. There is none highlighted in this chart, but a run is effectively X number of points above the green line or below the green line. And if we scroll to the end, we should also be able to see what we call a trend. So that there, those blue dots, is basically X number of points that are consecutively decreasing over time or increasing over time. So as I said, these are reasonably common chart types in healthcare, and so what we're going to do is provide flexibility for organisations to be able to quickly develop these within Qlik Sense. So what I'll do now, I'll talk you through actually creating a new one of these, and it's very straightforward and basic. That's the point of it. So just like any other extension, you upload the extension into your Qlik environment, and then to access it, you can come to custom objects. And then if we scroll down, you'll see the chart here, Acumen iChart. So drag and drop like that, like any other Qlik chart. All you need to do is add a dimension. So in this case, date, add a measure. And we'll use sum of data in this example. And then you'll see it's automatically gone and created the other calculations for average, upper control limit, lower control limit. So there's no mucking around for your users, your analysts, your developers, or potentially even other staff and clinicians to create these charts very quickly, very effectively, and consistently across the organisation. Now, I'm just briefly touch on some of the customization that you're then able to do. So you can obviously change the dimension and measure and rename these, but what I want to focus on is the measure variables. So you can set things like the number of points for a recalculation event, which is, you'll see that the average steps up here because it's detected that a rule has been met. You can configure the number of points that you're looking for in a run or a trend. What we found with speaking with organisations, some people wanted 7, some people wanted 8. So we've built in some flexibility there. And you can also define this recalculation event and how you want that to happen. So you can determine whether you want that to happen automatically, whether you want it to happen on a run only, a trend only, whether you want it to not recalculate and just be more of a straight chart. And you'll see when we've done that, you can actually see that run has now been highlighted, or you can actually set manual breaks. And the manual breaks can be set based on a drop down, so actually just picking a data point from the dimension, and you'll see that's now put that break there, because it's saying, you know, we changed something in our process and we want to know whether that has made a difference. Or you can actually override that and put it in as a calculation, which would allow you to use one of these charts potentially for multiple wards, multiple departments. You can also go through and customize the labels, the colors, the line styles, etc. I won't go through that now because of time. You're able to add a target line in as well if there was a certain target that you're actually looking to achieve. And again, you know, that's reasonably straightforward just by typing that in, and you'll see the target line has now appeared. So we'll leave it there. Hopefully that's a brief overview as to why you would be interested in statistical process control charts. And an overview of the extension that we've developed. It probably is worth noting that what we've developed here is the eye chart. We are aware that there are other chart types, and assuming you know, this goes well, then we will look to develop these in time and provide these. The reason we started with the eye chart is our understanding is it's probably the most commonly used and a bit of a Swiss Army knife of the SPC world. So again, thank you for your time, and if this is of interest, feel free to download that from the Vizlib marketplace or email us again at that email address. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking soon.
Thank you, Daniel. That was a great demo. So as Daniel said, you can download this from the Vizlib marketplace. It comes with a 60-day trial, so there's plenty of time to play around and see if that works for you. And now we're handing this over to Piers, who's the product architect here at Vizlib, and we'll be able to show off some of our intuitive extensions. Here you go, Piers.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the webinar. Thanks to Joe, Mark, and Daniel for some amazing presentations so far. I'm just going to share my screen and can you see my screen?
Yes, but it's not in full view yet.
Okay. Okay, I can't see on my laptop at the moment. Do you know which screen? Can you tell me which screen is being shared?
We can see the PPT and Word document.
Okay, so you should be able to see my other screen now, right?
Yes.
Cool, with the PowerPoint? Yep. Okay, thanks. Okay, so quick introduction.
We just see your notes.
Yes, you're not showing your PPT.
Sorry, it's the wrong screen. We see your background and your notes.
Okay.
It's that one that you're on right now that we're looking at.
Okay, I'll just swap the screens around.
Yeah, that looks good.
Cool, thanks. So, thank you for that. Quick introduction. I am Vizlib's product architect, and it means I am committed to giving customers the best experience from Vizlib, focusing on new features and new products. So, going to the next slide. At Vizlib, we have a visualization library of 19 amazing extensions These are constantly being updated. We have updates every couple of days, whether they are small tweaks here and there to make these even more awesome and improve performance, or whether these are feature updates or sometimes new products. So 19 extensions at the moment, and we are Qlik TED accredited. So that means we are part of the Trusted Extension Developer Program. And today I'm going to show you a few of our extensions, only a few of them. There's not enough time to go through every single one, unfortunately. And you can see a few of these on screen now. So I'll just switch screens, and I'm going to go straight into the demo that I have prepared. Okay, so first of all, what you'll notice in terms of the difference between a standard Qlik Sense dashboard and what we have done here at Vizlib is you'll see instantly the top of the screen here where my mouse is, if you can see my mouse, the Vizlib sheet menu, which is custom styling to make sure that you know that your users can recognize your organization and ensure that they are working effectively and keeping on brand. Right, so I'm going to go into the KPI now. So as we all know, KPIs are critical in healthcare organizations and are extremely important in communicating the insights and if you are meeting your targets. And no two KPIs are the same. With a little bit of Vizlib magic, we can see exactly how we can use KPIs to communicate healthcare insights. So I've got the Vizlib slider here, as you can see. I'm playing with that there. I'm just going to reset that, and you can see the KPI is changing. So all of our extensions can control different parts of the application. They can interact with each other. They can take you to different sheets, open URLs, create selections, and this functionality is called Vizlib Actions. So what I'm going to do here is just click on this mini chart inside the KPI, and you can see that it's taking me to a different page. This is a slightly different KPI. I'm going to click back on here. It's taking me right back. And that's using Vizlib Actions. So we've seen the slider already. And what if I quickly explain what I've done here over the slider, I've set a custom target. And this is for the NHS 4-hour wait time target for seeing patients in A&E, which is also the emergency room if you're in the US. So the typical target is 95%, although internally you may want to, every user is different, you may want to customize that. So I'm just going to increase the scale here, and you can see that as I drag the scale up and let go, you can see that that's not where I want it to be. So the arrow has changed down and the KPI has turned red. It's incredibly easy to modify, so we can get it pixel perfect here and just drag this smaller, move things around. Can add images, for example, that'll need to be uploaded, or I can change the icons, for example. We can change to an ambulance just by clicking in here. Okay, there's a little bit of a delay there. I'll move on from that part. So the next few extensions that I'll be showing you all here, and the Sankey, the Vizlib Sankey, is one of the really cool animated extensions that I can take you through. You can see that if I select the gender here, the selections are following through and updating the Venn diagram. It's all very clear exactly where the nodes are flowing through. So this is looking at the admission types and departments and where people are coming into the hospital. So if I click on the emergency admission type, we can see the entire dashboard change, and I can move this around. I can have the emergency male patient split by age, for example. You can see there's a lot in this node here. And okay, maybe I feel like I want to switch things around. I'll play with the selections. I'm probably one of those users who wants to see things my own way. But if I'm not a developer, maybe I want to move the age first. Select my age here. And now I can clearly see a nice split there. So everything is fully customizable. We can switch fields here. We can move these around, and you can see the data that you want to see as a user. So customization is not just limited to developers as you would have normally in Qlik Sense, but it's a really wide ability to control the app from a user perspective as well. So I'm just going to clear these, reset the dashboard. And in the table, you can also see that I have added a bullet chart for the 4-hour wait times. And of course, the same as the KPI, we want to see those insights straight away. You want to see who's on target, who's not on target, and what categories these are. So the Vizlib table has full HTML support. So you can see that I've added a custom image here. I can put whatever I want in there. I can put in different icons that may not be available in the existing icon pack that we have. And as I scroll down, you can see that we have these icons as well. And what I'll do is I'll take you through part of the properties here. You can see what sort of options there are. So there are a number of mini charts available. You can view I wonder if we can go through this now, if there's enough time left. There's different mini charts available. We can look at a bar chart, a line chart, a progress chart, so a nice single bar going across. The mini charts is effectively a spark line. We can see different trends across the data, so you can see how that moves across in time. And I think, what else have we got to go through? I think I'll take you through a little bit more on the Sankey. So in terms of using Vizlib charts over Qlik Sense charts, there's a huge amount of customization in terms of how you represent the styling. I don't think I've done the styling justice in the time that I've been talking. So in terms of the colors here, we can set different colors for each of the charts, and we can make sure that, as I've done on this chart, in the Venn diagram, the colors here can be completely customized. So we can set colors for emergency, elective, and maternity independently to make sure that there's consistency across your dashboard, which means that no matter what the user is and what their role is, they can see consistency from page to page, department to department, and make sure that they're looking at the right information, without having to look at things. They can identify those insights by color, and in the back of their mind subconsciously, they can say, that's the part that I'm interested in, this is what I'm going to click on, and this is how I'm going to navigate through the dashboard. And using Vizlib extensions, that becomes a lot easier and a lot more efficient, whether you're using the Vizlib presets, Vizlib actions, or custom styling. So I think that is everything from me, and maybe some time left for the Q&A.
Thank you, Piers. We've just got a few minutes for the Q&A, but we have a few questions. The first one is for you, Piers. Don't relax yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's from Ezer Castiblanco, and he's asking whether we have any graph to show an event timeline.
Yes, we do have an event timeline. Depending on what you want to show, we do have the Vizlib story timeline. It is one of the first set of extensions that have been produced. There is an example app on our website, but you can always get in touch with us via the email on the website, and we can give you a quick demo if you're interested.
Brilliant.
It does feature HTML and images, so it can be fully customized to whatever you need it to do.
Okay, thanks, Piers. And just the last question for all panelists, something to summarize the webinar, I guess. So guys, what do you think are the key challenges healthcare organizations need to overcome when they just sort of embark on a data analytics journey? Is it more about finding the right tools, or empowering and training the staff, or is it about something else? What would be your lessons that you're willing to share?
I think from my perspective, the tools is the easy part. Particularly if you're on a Qlik and a Vizlib webinar, then you've probably already made the right choice or need to make the right choice. So yeah, the tools should be the easy part. For me, the key part is engaging the right individuals that are keen to be involved in your project, and in involving them from the start. Get a successful delivery under your belt, and hopefully you've picked some clinical services that will sing your praise and sort of spread that success throughout your organization. But yeah, otherwise, if you don't do that, you can have the best dashboard in the world, but if no one uses it, you're not going to make a difference to patient care. So for me, it's being selective, picking your right first development, or picking your right development in terms of where you put your energy, but absolutely make sure it's a collaborative effort, and make sure whoever you work with, the clinical services, that part of the sort of the relationship is that they'll promote the work to their other clinical colleagues to build that enthusiasm elsewhere in the organization.
And I totally agree. To me, it's, can you use the data to paint a picture and to tell a story so that you can engage people, like Mark said. If analytics and dashboards are just some nice to haves, a destination, you check it once a week, it's not really going to change what you're doing. So get it closer to the meetings that you're running around. Put it on big monitors and boards so more people are consuming that information. It's not just data that gets captured. So I think for me, it's all around the storytelling and making it part of your normal processes. It can't be somewhere to go check on something. It should help direct you to what you need to do next, make it easier.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joe. I think with that, we'll be wrapping up as we're running out of time. So thank you all for your brilliant and super insightful presentations. The video will be uploaded on YouTube, so if anyone wants to share it with their team or across their organization, you can do that. I'll be sending a follow-up email with the link to the YouTube video, so look out for that in your inbox. And hopefully we'll see you on some other webinars in the future, as we're coming up with a whole bunch of interesting topics, and we'll be sharing real life examples and demos from industry experts. So to all our panelists and attendees, thank you very much, and see you next time.